Hello, good evening. By the way, my name is Richie Miguel Oka, BSL English. Scheduled for this subject is Elmc 109 at 12:30 to 2:30 p.m. from Monday to Saturday. And here is the story that I make on my own. And the title of this is The Little Girl's Ignorance. Hopefully, you guys like it though, because I'm not really into making story, Jud, but somehow there is a part of me that love to write or compose a song, story, and many more. So I guess this is the best time for you to hear this out. So, all right. So once upon a time, there was a little girl named Belle who dreamed of becoming a successful businesswoman like other women out there. She resided in a small village called Cottage Belle and was the youngest of her three siblings. As the youngest, she possessed a stubborn and clingy nature. She frequently played outdoors with her best friends Nico and Justine. She possessed, despite her brother's discouragement due to their family's struggles and loss of their parents. Belle recalled what her mother's words, which inspired her to persevere and work hard in order to achieve her goals in life, especially dreams. So, years had passed and Belle had grown into a hard-working young woman. She was well known in the village for her kindness and dedication, often assisting her grandmother on the farm and regularly helping the villagers as well. She told herself that whenever an opportunity arises, she always considers whether other people need it more and instead of taking it for herself, so she gives it to others. Her grandmother ordered her to go to the city to purchase fertilizer for their farm. While she was on her way to the store, a flyer suddenly flew towards her face. After reading what was written on the flyer, she remembered that her best friends, Justine and Nico, had been looking for a job for some time too. So, she rushed to the nearest bus station and took a bus ride to the village to share the news with her best friends. Following that, she quickly headed to the usual place or spot by the river and the village to meet up with her best friends Nico and Justine. She discovered his best friend Justine sitting there, quietly tapping her best friend's back, and she smiled and said, "I have some good news for you guys, and I know that you will like it." Justine eagerly looked at her and Nico, awaiting that his best friend had to tell them. "While I was in the city, I found this flyer," Belle said. And Belle explained, handing it to her friend or best friend Nico and Justine. Enthusiastically stood up and embraced Belle after reading its contents. Nico and Justine left after thanking her, leaving Belle smiling and looking at her best friends so proudly. So, months went by with Belle still helping her grandmother on the farm rather. As she was running errands her grandmother asked her to do, she passed by her best friend's house, Justine. Seeing how happy the two and good looking her best friend in his office sweets her and made her smile. However, upon staring longer, she realized that she was still stuck in the same place where she was before. While those around her had already achieved and success and living happily, like her best friends Nico and Justine. As her thoughts deepened, she realized that her grandmother had ordered something to her. So she went back to the farmhouse to give her grandmother what she had ordered. As she handed over what she had bought from the store to her grandmother, she was stunned when she received a hard slap on her face and was shocked. So, she looks at her grandmother with confused eyes because she doesn't know why her grandmother do it to her. Slap. And her grandmother said, "What an ungrateful brat." Her grandmother pointed at her like this and saying, "What an ungrateful brat. That's all you have to do and yet you mess it up." Her grandmother said, "Are you a thief? Can't your little head understand a single word, a single thing?" Her grandmother said. Her grandmother exclaimed. Her grandmother grabbed her face and said, "After your parents died, I was the one who take care of you and your siblings. Can you imagine that? And this is what you will do in return? Or what you're going to do in return for me?" Her grandmother said. "All of this? All I ask is a simple thing, yet you can't even." So her grandmother doesn't finish what she's trying to say towards Belle. And Belle could not stand it anymore and ran away to their house and locked herself in her room. Belle sat in the corner of her room, crying her heart out. She felt like she was losing hope in everything, as her struggles and problems seemed to be weighing heavily on her, causing her heart to ache with pain. So she's crying her heart out. However, while she was crying inside her room, suddenly a bright light with a figure of man emerged before her. And then he spoke to her. "Belle, sweetheart, I know you've been in so much pain as of this moment, but I want you to realize that everything's happened for a reason. That there will always be a light in the midst of darkness." Belle sniffed and asked as she wipes her tears and face. Belle said, "Who are you?" While trying to ask and look at the bright light, and the bright light emerged with a man answered, extending his hands, "I am Ix, the goddess of wisdom and strength." Ix added, "I want you to know that you were deceived by Marissa. Do you realize what you have done? Do you remember the flyers that were landed in your face as a sign to seize the opportunity but you give it to someone else instead of yourself because you think this times that someone needed the most than yours. Even though you needed that job so badly, Belle nodded. As the light slowly faded, indicating that Ike had departed, Belle said, "Thank you for sharing those beautiful words of yours, Ike. Even though I can clearly see your face, but it makes my heart melt. It makes my heart have hopes inside. Even though you didn't hear me say them it loud," she said as she smiled and looking to the light that faded slowly. After everything happened to her, she realized that the events from the beginning and slowly accept the fact that she mistakenly did something that made her life even miserable. With the help of Ike's and through Ike's beautiful words that he gives to Belle, she decides to change her mindset and lifestyle by relocating far away from her previous village, which is the Cottage Belle. And ultimately, she managed to find a job that has the potential to change her life, or entire life rather. So, many years had passed, or 5 years had passed, then Belle, as the most well-known and successful woman in the whole world, she owned a building named Belle's Building, and also she owned a hotel named Belle's Hotel, and also the farm of her grandmother was a massive one. So that's all, and I hope you guys like it too. Thank you.